She said she loved, then asked if we could still be friends. Right before boarding a flight with her ex, I met Emma at a housewarming party my friend Josh threw in early spring. She was standing by the balcony sipping white wine and laughing at something one of Josh's coworkers had said. Her laugh was the kind that made other people look bright, unfiltered, the kind that said she didn't care who was listening. I don't remember what stupid line I used to talk to her. Something about how wine is just grape juice pretending to be grown up. Cringe. But she laughed anyway. We talked the rest of the night. Everyone else faded. She told me she had just moved back to the city after a messy breakup. I told her I'd been single for a while because dating apps drained my soul. We joked about terrible Tinder bios. She said she was a freelance photographer and showed me a picture she took of a broken window in an abandoned church. I said it looked like a painting. She looked at me for a second too long and said, "You're not like most guys, are you?" We started seeing each other that week. At first, it felt like a dream. Every cliche, every too good to be true feeling, I had them all. She was spontaneous in a way I wasn't used to. I'm the kind of guy who schedules weekends. She once woke me up at 4 a.m. with a text saying, "Let's go watch the sunrise. I'll bring coffee." And she did. She showed up with 2 iced lattes and a blanket, and we sat on the hood of her car while the sun crawled out of the clouds. She had this way of making moments feel like scenes from a movie. Everything felt heightened with her. Once, in the middle of a rainstorm, she ran into the street and just twirled in it. People stared. I told her she was going to get sick. She grabbed my hand, pulled me into the rain, and said, "Then I want you to be sick with me." I laughed so hard I forgot to be worried. She told me about her ex eventually, said his name was Nick, and that things had ended badly. He wasn't abusive, just manipulative. The kind of guy who makes you feel crazy for feeling things. I asked if she was okay now. She nodded and said, "I'm better than I've been in years." You make it easy to forget. I didn't press more. 3 months in, she told me she loved me. We were lying on the couch, half watching a documentary about whales. She turned to me, kissed me once, and whispered it. I froze for a second. Not because I didn't feel the same, but because it had been a long time since anyone had said it to me and meant it. I'd been cheated on before. Loved someone who thought sorry erased betrayal. Hearing "I love you" from Emma felt terrifying and safe at the same time. "I love you too," I said, and I meant every word. After that, everything got deeper. We spent nearly every night together. She left little notes in my kitchen drawers. I started calling her my girlfriend without even realizing it. My friends noticed how happy I seemed. One of them even joked that I was glowing. I felt like I was finally building something real, something mutual. But little things started shifting around the 4th month. She began pulling away, slowly at first. Her texts were still affectionate, but they came later in the day. She'd say she was busy editing photos, and I believed her. Then came the canceled plans. I'm just exhausted. Work was crazy. My sister needed help moving. I didn't want to be the clingy guy, the one who couldn't handle a little space, so I gave her room. One night, she came over and seemed distant. She smiled, kissed me, curled up on the couch, but she barely said anything all evening. When I asked if everything was okay, she nodded. "Just tired, babe." The next morning, she left in a hurry. Said she had a shoot across town. I stayed behind to clean up and noticed she'd forgotten her phone. I didn't mean to look. I really didn't. But the screen lit up with a notification while I was making coffee. A message from someone named Nikolai. It read, "Let me know if you change your mind. The ticket is still open." My chest went cold. I didn't even know she had a friend named Nikolai. The name didn't match anyone I'd ever heard her mention. I shouldn't have done it, but I opened the message. There was a thread. Him asking her if she wanted to give it another shot, saying he still had her favorite scarf, and something about how he'd booked the trip anyway, just in case. I didn't see her reply. I set the phone back down, face down on the counter, and sat there staring at it for what felt like an hour. I didn't know what to think. Was this her ex? Was she planning to leave? Had she already made up her mind? That night, I asked her about him. We were having dinner, sushi in bed, one of our little traditions. I tried to sound casual. "Hey, who's Nikolai?" She blinked, then smiled a little too fast. "Just a guy I used to know. From work." "Why?" I said I saw the message. I expected her to get angry, to accuse me of snooping. But she didn't. She just sighed and looked down. "It's my ex, Nick. His full name is Nikolai. He's half Russian, whatever. He's been texting." I nodded, trying to keep my breathing even. "Are you replying?" She shook her head. "Only to tell him to stop." "Are you sure?" She finally looked at me. "I'm not going back to him, Mark. I swear. He hurt me. I don't want that again. I want you." But something in her voice was off. It was calm but too calm. Scripted. Like she'd rehearsed it. I told myself I was being paranoid. I had trust issues. I'd been burned before and didn't want to bleed all over someone who hadn't cut me. I tried to let it go. I wish I hadn't. The next 2 weeks were a strange kind of limbo. Emma didn't mention Nick again. She acted like things were back to normal. Sweet texts, sleepy voice notes, kisses on my forehead before bed, but it all felt a little hollow, like we were going through the motions of intimacy instead of actually living it. She started spending more time away, said she had more clients lately. I wanted to believe her. I really did. She'd always been ambitious with her photography, and I never wanted to be the kind of guy who made a woman feel guilty for chasing her career. But something gnawed at me. Once I asked if I could come along to one of her shoots. She said it would be boring, all tripods and lighting tweaks, and that I should enjoy my Saturday instead. Fair enough. But then I saw someone post a story at the same location she'd said she'd be, some boutique rooftop in Midtown, and she wasn't in the background. No gear, no signs of a shoot. That night, I didn't ask. I didn't accuse. I just listened as she recited the same details she'd apparently made up. It wasn't that I thought she was lying about everything. It's worse than that. I think she was still trying to be a good person. And in trying to be a good person to both of us, she was slowly becoming dishonest to herself. One Friday night, I got a text. Emma, hey, mind if I skip tonight? Just really exhausted. I replied, me. Of course. Rest. Love you. She didn't respond. Around 10 p.m., I couldn't sleep. Something just felt off. So I did something I'm not proud of. I checked her Instagram. Nothing on her main feed, but she had a second account. Her photography diary, where she posted artsy, candid stuff. I scrolled through and froze. There it was. A picture of a candlelit dinner. 2 glasses of wine. 1 plate half finished. The caption. Sometimes things feel familiar in the best way. It was posted 30 minutes ago. I stared at it for what felt like forever. I zoomed in. There was a man's sleeve in the edge of the frame. Blue flannel. I remembered that shirt. He was wearing it in a photo she once showed me. The bad trip to Prague with her ex. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I confronted her. She came over late, holding coffee like nothing had happened. You look tired, she said, kissing my cheek. I didn't kiss her back. Did you have dinner with him? I asked, voice low, calm. She froze. Her eyes flicked up to mine, then away. Yeah, but it wasn't what you think. Then explain what it was. She set the coffee down, sat on the edge of the couch and took a breath. He reached out. Said he was in town. Said he just wanted to talk. Closure. I thought, maybe if I saw him, I'd finally be done with all of it. You lied to me. I didn't lie. You told me you were exhausted. That you were going to bed. I was going to, but then he called. And I didn't know how to say no. That sentence broke something in me. I asked her if she was still in love with him. She said, no. I don't know. I don't think so. Then, quieter, I don't know how I feel right now, Mark. About him. About us. About everything. I remember standing there trying not to fall apart. I asked her if she wanted a break. She said, I don't want to lose you. That's not what I asked. She started crying. Real tears. Not the performative kind. I could tell. But still, I didn't move. I just need space, she said. Time to think. I nodded. What else was I supposed to do? The next day, she texted that she was going to Barcelona, a week-long trip, to clear her head. She didn't say with who. I asked her if she wanted me to drive her to the airport. She hesitated, then replied, that would be nice. I want to say goodbye prop. That message was my confirmation. She wasn't coming back. The drive to the airport was quiet. She was in sunglasses, hair pulled back, like she was already on vacation. She made small talk about the weather, a new lens she wanted to try, how she might try to do a photo series in the Gothic Quarter. I just nodded, hands on the wheel, knuckles white. When we got to the departures curb, she unbuckled her seatbelt, turned to me, and placed her hand on mine. Mark, she said soft, I do love you. I'm just not ready for this, for us. My throat clenched. Then why did you say it? Because I meant it. But sometimes love isn't enough, right? I didn't answer. She leaned over and hugged me tightly. Her lips brushed my cheek. Then she pulled back, eyes shining. Can we still be friends? I looked at her, stunned. She must have seen the hurt all over my face because her smile wavered. And then it happened. A tall man walked up behind her, pulling a carry-on suitcase. Blue flannel shirt, aviators. Same smirk as the photos. Nick. Ready? He asked casually. Emma turned to him. Yeah? Just a sec. She turned back to me. Take care of yourself, okay? And just like that, she walked away. With him. I watched them disappear into the airport. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat in the car, staring through the windshield, like if I stayed still long enough, it would all rewind. But it didn't. Nothing ever does. I didn't drive away right away. I sat there for 20 minutes, engine running, hands frozen on the wheel. Every part of me wanted to believe that what I'd just seen was some kind of misunderstanding, that she'd turn around, ditch the guy, and run back to me crying, saying it was a mistake. She didn't. Eventually, airport security gave me the look, and I had to pull away from the curb. I drove home on autopilot, headlights blurred by the tears I pretended I wasn't crying. I didn't go inside, just sat in the dark of the driveway, listening to the ticking of the cooling engine. When I finally walked in, the silence in my apartment hit different. Her mug was still on the counter. Her sweater was draped over the back of the couch. There was still a half-full bottle of shampoo in the shower. I could feel her everywhere, like a ghost who hadn't realized she'd left yet. I didn't touch anything. That night, I lay in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling, trying to replay every second of the last few months, looking for signs, clues, anything I'd missed. And what hurt the most wasn't just that she left. It was that she planned it. That text about needing space? That wasn't spontaneous. The plane tickets, the lie about being tired, she already knew. She knew she was going with him when she sat across from me at dinner, when she held my hand, when she said she loved me. She just didn't have the courage to end things honestly. I didn't eat much that week. Barely slept. I'd open Instagram every few hours like an addict pressing a bruise, refreshing her page, even though I knew it would hurt. And it did. 3 days after she left, she posted a photo of the two of them in front of La Sagrada Familia. She tagged it. Sometimes going back helps you see how far you've come. The comments were full of emojis and fake support from people who had no idea what really happened. I wanted to scream. I wanted to reply, to expose everything, to write, "You were with me the night before. You lied. You left without a goodbye." But I didn't. Because what would that make me? Another bitter guy screaming into the void while she played the carefree artist, finding herself in Europe. A week passed. Then 2. She didn't text. Didn't check in. It was like I'd been deleted. My friends started to notice I wasn't okay. Josh came over one night with beer and pizza and said, "Man, she's not worth this. You know that, right?" I nodded. But the thing is, when you lose someone like that, someone who made your world feel brighter, even their betrayal doesn't make the grief easier. It makes it messier. I kept going through the motions. Work, gym, repeat. But I'd see her everywhere. In the way a stranger tucked her hair behind her ear, in the sound of a laugh that echoed hers. I missed her. I hated myself for missing her. One night, maybe 3 weeks later, she finally texted, "Emma, hey, just wanted to say I hope you're doing okay. I've been thinking about you." I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. My hands were shaking. I didn't even know what I wanted from me. "You left without saying goodbye." She replied instantly, "Emma, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't know how. Everything was so confusing." Me. "It wasn't confusing. You just didn't want to be the bad guy." This time it took her a while to respond. "Emma, you're right. I didn't handle it well. I just needed to follow what felt right in the moment. I wasn't trying to hurt me. But you did." She didn't reply after that. I didn't expect her to. A few days later, another photo popped up. This time on his profile, Emma sitting on his lap, both of them smiling at a rooftop bar in Valencia. Caption: "We found our way back." Something broke in me again. But it wasn't the kind of pain that shattered you. It was the kind that calcified, hardened into something cold and quiet. I muted both their accounts. Then I deleted our photos, her contact, her texts, the playlists we made, everything. I cleaned the apartment top to bottom, washed the sweater she left and stuffed it in the back of the closet. I threw away the stupid little notes she used to leave on my mirror. "Your love, smile more. I adore your brain." She adored me until someone better showed up. Or maybe not better, just someone who was there first. That realization hit me hardest. That I was the intermission, the emotional pause. The test to see if she was ready to go back. She said she loved me. Maybe she even believed it. But you don't ask someone to stay friends while holding someone else's hand. You don't book a flight with your ex while someone else is telling you they'd build a life. Some nights, I still woke up expecting to find her next to me. The shape of her body, the scent of her hair, the sound of her breath, it was all burned into my memory. And when I opened my eyes and found empty sheets, the emptiness felt like punishment for trusting too much. But something shifted around the 6th week. I stopped checking her socials. I started sleeping through the night. I went out with friends and didn't fake my smile. I met people, new people. And when they laughed at my dumb jokes, I didn't compare their laughter to hers. I was still healing, yeah. But healing is never one moment. It's slow. 100 small choices stacked on top of each other. And I was finally starting to choose myself again. The shift wasn't dramatic. No montage moment, no sunrise epiphany. Just a quiet, gradual return to myself. I stopped waking up with a lump in my chest. I stopped needing to replay our last conversation. I started eating real meals again, small victories. My Spotify algorithm moved on from heartbreak playlists to gym tracks and jazz. There were still landmines, sure. A song at the grocery store, a photo in my camera roll I thought I'd already deleted, but they stopped wrecking me for entire days. I didn't date. Not seriously. I wasn't ready to let anyone in like that again. But I started saying yes more often. Yes to grabbing drinks after work. Yes to weekend road trips with friends. Yes to being alive. Even when it still stung a little. Emma reached out again. It had been a little over 2 months since Barcelona. Emma, I know I don't deserve to ask, but I hope you're okay. I still think about you. Just wanted to say that. I stared at the message for a while. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. She'd made her choice. And even if she regretted it, that wasn't my problem to solve. I didn't reply. A week later, she texted again. Emma, I'm back in town. Would love to talk, if you're open to it. No pressure. This time, I typed a response. Me. What would talking change? She read it but didn't reply. That silence? It was its own kind of closure. Then came the real twist. 3 weeks later, I got a message on Facebook from an old mutual friend, Sophie. I hadn't talked to her much, but she used to hang around with Emma at art events. Sophie. Hey, random. But just wanted to say I'm sorry about what happened with you and Emma. I saw her recently. She's not doing so great. Things with Nick blew up. I didn't respond right away. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel. Relief? Satisfaction? Pity? Sophie. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but they broke up in Spain. Apparently, it got ugly. He cheated on her. Left her mid-trip. She came back early but didn't tell anyone. That last part hit different. I sat with that for a while. I had imagined them walking cobblestone streets together, laughing, healing whatever mess they'd made. I pictured her happy, fulfilled, wrapped in some poetic closure. I never considered the possibility that it fell apart halfway through. I shouldn't have cared. But part of me did. Emma didn't post anything after she came back. Her accounts went silent. Her usual updates, filtered photos, whimsical captions, daily coffee and cloud stories, disappeared. And then, one day, she emailed me. It was long. No subject line. Just this. I don't know if you'll read this. I wouldn't blame you if you deleted it. But I needed to say it somewhere. I messed up. I know that now. I told myself I was following my heart, but all I did was hurt people who didn't deserve it. You were good to me. Too good. And I didn't know how to handle it. I thought I needed to revisit the past to understand who I was. But all I did was run back into fire and pretend it was warmth. Nick didn't change. I just wanted him to. I wanted the version of him I made up in my head. And I lost the one real thing I had because of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I think about you. A lot. I hope you're happy. I hope someone gives you the kind of love you gave me. I'm sorry. I read it twice, then again, and for the first time since she left, I didn't feel pain. I didn't cry. I didn't ache. I felt clear. She was never going to give me what I gave her, not because she was evil or heartless, but because she was still broken in places I had no business trying to fix. And I had finally stopped trying. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. That weekend, I met someone new. Her name was Layla. We bumped into each other at a bookstore, one of those stupidly cinematic meet-cutes. She made a dumb joke about how my choice of sci-fi novels was concerning, and I fired back with something sarcastic. We ended up talking for an hour in the aisle. I didn't fall in love right away. That's not how real life works. But something about her felt easy, not in the way Emma felt like a whirlwind, unpredictable, dizzying, addictive, but in a grounded, quiet way, like I could finally exhale. We got coffee a few days later, then drinks the week after, then a hike. She wasn't trying to impress me. She wasn't looking for validation. She just showed up, present, kind, interested. The first time she reached across the table and took my hand, I felt this soft surge in my chest. Not fireworks, not a symphony. Just peace. And for the first time in a long time, that was more than enough. Layla didn't fix me. She didn't need to. She just met me where I was. She let me talk when I needed to talk. Let me stay quiet when words felt like too much. She didn't ask about my past right away. She didn't poke around trying to get to the bottom of things. She just existed beside me and gave me the space to become myself again. We weren't perfect. No couple is. She left wet towels on the bathroom floor. I was overly meticulous about dishes. We disagreed about movies. She hated thrillers. I lived for them. But there was respect. Trust. A mutual understanding that we were two separate people who chose to show up for each other. That was new for me. With Emma, it always felt like I was walking on a high wire. One wrong word, one misstep, and she'd drift. With Layla, I felt grounded. Like no matter what we said, we'd still end up at the same dinner table by night. We'd been seeing each other steadily for about 2 months when Emma called. Not text, not email, a full-on phone call. I was in the middle of grabbing groceries when her name popped up on the screen. For a second, my heart still skipped. Old habits. I just stared at it ring. I thought about letting it go to voicemail. But curiosity is a persistent little thing. I answered. Hey, I said, voice flat. She paused. Hey. Her voice was quiet, almost small. Like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to speak. I know I shouldn't have called, she said. But I didn't know how else to say what I wanted to say. I waited. I saw you last week, she continued. You were walking with someone, holding hands. You looked happy. I said nothing. Let her sit in the silence. I don't know why that hit me the way it did. I guess I always thought maybe someday we'd talk again. Try again. I know that's unfair. I know I don't deserve it. But seeing you like that, it just made everything feel real. Like it's really over. It's been over, I said calmly. She breathed in sharp like the words stung. I miss you, she said. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. I know. I ruined it, she whispered. You did. Silence. I didn't call to beg, she added quickly. I wanted you to know that I think about you, that I'm sorry. I read your email, I said. Did you hate me for it? I appreciated it. It helped. She was crying now. I could hear it in the hitch of her voice. I really did love you, Mark. I believe you. But love without honesty isn't love. She cried harder. I didn't comfort her. I couldn't. That wasn't my place anymore. She had made her decisions, and so had I. I hope you're happy, she said eventually, sniffling. I am. Another beat of silence. She seems nice, she added. She is. A pause. I won't bother you again. Okay, goodbye, Mark. I didn't say it back. I just ended the call, and for the first time since she left, I felt nothing. No pain, no longing, no bitterness. Just the clean, simple air of something that had finally, truly ended. That night, I told Layla about the call. I didn't want to hide it. She didn't get mad, didn't accuse. She just asked, do you need space? I laughed. I need more time with you. She smiled and passed me the pop. We watched a terrible movie and argued about whether the ending made sense. And that was it. No drama, no guilt. Just two people being honest with each other. A few weeks later, I bumped into Emma in the park. Completely unplanned. She was alone, sitting on a bench with a sketch pad on her lap. Her hair was shorter. She looked tired. She looked up. Our eyes met. She gave me a weak smile. I nodded. Just a polite acknowledgement. Then I kept walking. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. Because here's the truth I had finally learned. The person who says they love you, but only when it's convenient, only when it doesn't ask too much of them, that person isn't your soulmate. They're a lesson. And Emma? She was the loudest, most necessary lesson of my life. A year later, I barely thought of her. It's strange how someone can take up every corner of your mind, your chest, your days, until suddenly they don't. Healing doesn't announce itself. It just arrives. Quietly, subtly. One morning, you wake up and don't reach for your phone to check if they posted something. One night, you walk past the place where you first kissed, and it doesn't hurt anymore. One day, you realize you're free. I saw her one final time. Late summer, I was grabbing coffee at the same little cafe we used to go to, the one with the cracked concrete floor and lopsided tables. Layla had run inside to grab our order. I stayed by the window. Emma walked in. She looked different, not in a dramatic way. Just older, maybe. More grounded. She had no makeup on. A sweater too big for her frame. Her hair was tied up in a lazy bun. She didn't see me at first. She was focused on the counter, eyes scanning the chalkboard menu like she didn't already know what she wanted. I didn't try to hide. She turned her head. For a second, our eyes locked. Time didn't slow down. The world didn't fade out. There was no soundtrack swelling in the background. Just two people who used to know each other, standing on opposite sides of a life that no longer belonged to them. She gave me a small nod. I gave one back. Then she looked down at her phone. I turned to look at Layla walking toward me with 2 iced coffees and a smile that made my chest. That was the last time I saw Emma. Not because something dramatic happened, not because the universe needed closure, but because it was simply time to let go. A few weeks later, Layla and I went on our first real trip together. Oregon coast. Windy, quiet beaches. Long car rides. We stayed in a tiny Airbnb with leaky faucets and a perfect view of the cliffs. One night, we sat outside wrapped in a shared blanket, listening to waves crash and the occasional call of a distant gull. She turned to me, hair tangled from the breeze, and asked, "What was your last relationship like?" Before me, I thought about lying, saying something simple, neat. But I didn't. I told her about Emma. Not the whole story, but enough. Enough to explain the scar without showing the wound. Layla listened. Patiently. No judgment. When I finished, she reached over and took my hand. "I don't know who she was," she said, "but I'm glad she let you go. Because I get to have you now." And that was when I finally understood. Emma didn't break me. She revealed where I needed to heal. She taught me the cost of giving too much to someone who isn't ready. She showed me the difference between love that feels like fire and love that feels like sunlight. One burns. The other grows. I didn't hate her. I didn't miss her. I didn't wish she'd stayed. Because the version of myself who begged someone to love him back, that version was gone. In his place stood someone stronger, softer, and far more sure of what he deserved. So when people ask me about my worst heartbreak, I don't give them the messy details. I don't talk about the airport or the lie or the text from Barcelona. I just say, "She said she loved me," and then asked if we could still be friends right before boarding a flight with her ex. Then I smile. Because now I know that her leaving wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning of the one worth telling.